to when it comes to an end, whether it's the postseason or the end of the regular season, it's like, oh man, like, all right, this is it for the year. It's crazy. So yeah. So that was sort of the thing I had going.
Yeah.
I mean,
Classy group.
yeah, definitely. From afar, I saw the same thing, and I feel like I always see the same thing with the Bruins, but I liken it to like being on a moving train, and the thing is going 100 miles an hour, and then when the season ends, like it abruptly stops, and it sends like a shock to your nervous system in a way. And then you got, as you talked about, guys, like it's not, it's not, I don't know what word is lessen or less than I guess feeling emotion, but it's almost a little emotional in a sense because like you get into this routine, like you're used to it, and then all of a sudden that's it, it's over. Like the lockers are cleaned out, these guys are going their separate ways for the summer, and now you
It's
kind
a
of go
letdown.
off into yeah, for sure. So I feel like I felt the same thing in 2022 with the Red Sox, more so than any other year because they had just come off a playoff run that was incredible that, nobody expected them to do 2 games shy of going to the World Series. And like they lost it. And we talked about this a little bit too last week, Adam. I think we brought it up about, the Nathan Eovaldi high strike that never was called that basically changed the complexion of that series. But they end the series and then you're like back in Boston and guys are cleaning out their lockers. Some people are going their separate ways even before then. You don't see them again. And there's a huge roster of people, and some guys, like you said, won't be back the next year. Like this is like a one and done thing, and then the reality of that sets in, and then it's like, man, this was a great person, or this was a great player, and you guys had a great relationship, and now you don't know when you see these people again, or like when your paths will cross, and that part is a little bit difficult, just on a humane level. If you've got this working relationship with somebody, not knowing what their next step is, it's pretty much like I said, a shock to your system. So I completely understand it, even from a different sports perspective. It's like the same situation.
Yeah, no, I wanted to ask you about the difference between, or I mean, I know you haven't done a Bruins one, but what it's like in the Red Sox room. But I just want to say quick that I think letdown's a great word, and it is a shock. It's like it's over, and your whole schedule changes. It's like any abrupt change, whether it's good or bad. It's like your system just has to get used to it. But obviously, like Adam said, we care about these guys. We're not friends with them, but definitely friendly, and it affects our careers too, our lives. Like now, my life looks different in terms of scheduling and all that, and good or bad, it's different. But I will say last year in 2023, that was a completely different locker cleanout. Like that was crazy, the emotions because of them losing they were supposed to win up 3-1 in the series, roles reversed down 3-1. So it was more like bonus, like, okay, they can do this. But
Right.
people weren't prepared for last season, obviously the historic season, and then Bergie, retiring. Patrice Bergeron, is he going to do it or not? And the mood, Adam, last time, and by the way, I don't think we were out of there till like 3 or 4 p.m. We were done at like 11:30, 12. The mood was so different. Every guy who talked like just kept saying, I don't even know what to say. Like the shock was still, you could feel it. It was like palatable, and you could feel the shock. And even reporters were still, who are neutral and impartial, we were all like blindsided by it. And it was so different. And it's just sports, right? So you have to remember that for them, it's their lives. So it's not just sports, but it's not like there's an actual death or illness or something. So again, that perspective, but it felt devastating. Like it was just a devastating mood. And to the point where like I was depressed for a week. Like I didn't want to get out of bed. I was
Oh
like, this
man.
is terrible. I'm like, what's wrong with me? I'm not even them. I'm not even their partners or their families. But I was so sad. And this time, although it was really sad in the room, there was a different vibe. There was like a moment of, it felt like there was a bit of an acceptance to that. And, they gutted it out. They tried their best. They fell short. Whereas last year, it just felt like the shock and the disappointment was like, it slapped you in the face. So very different. I wasn't too emotional with this one. But yeah, I don't know. They make pretty much everyone available. So just so fans know, they make everyone available in the Bruins room. A couple guys didn't talk, but if we wanted to talk to them, we could. They're all there that day. They're having exit interviews with their coaches. They're saying goodbye to each other. With the Red Sox, Jahmai, you said some guys are already gone. Like, how does that work? Do you request players? Does everyone speak? How does a locker cleanout work for the Red
No,
Sox?
no, it's completely different. It's definitely you try to request the guys that you want to speak to, but some guys, I mean, in some situations too. Like I remember last year, we ended the season on the road, and obviously there was no playoffs. We were in Baltimore the last series, so it was no playoffs, and we ended the year on the road. So at that time, guys would literally leave the last city you're in, and go to those countries to some degree, and they're gone. So you don't see them back when you get to Boston because there'll be a clean out prior to the series that you guys left. So pack their bags, ship their things to their homes, and then be out of there, basically catching their own personal flights afterwards. So if you wanted somebody, you kind of had to get them in the last city last year. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
kind of how it works, which is actually a little bit new for me because I think every year that I've done it, just about, and I've done the last series, we've either advanced to the playoffs or we were at Fenway Park, so it was a little bit easier because you're already home. So um, that part is definitely unique, I think, in that aspect because everybody doesn't come back to the ballpark. So you got to kind of say your goodbyes already. And I think just the point that you brought up too, like what I think, I feel like this is what makes you good, Sophia, because like you approach this in a way you would, I guess, in your own life. Like you get emotionally invested in this, and like you put your heart into it, obviously. So that's, I think, why you feel the same emotions as some of these guys do as well. So I thought that was interesting that you said that you were like depressed for a
I was
week
depressed.
after 2 years ago. I mean, it was depressing for me. I was at that game seven, saw
Right,
them
you
lose,
were.
and I walked away. I think any person who uh has a little bit of investment in the team, like you've invested any kind of time, like naturally you'll feel something, you'll feel disappointed, and to be in that room at the same time where they're like, I think it's just the human connection in a way, right? Like everybody is
Mhm.
kind of connected, so there's all these people feeling something. It's almost impossible. You have to be a sociopath probably to not feel some of that as you kind of walk into that situation. So um, there was a lot of that going on in 2021 after the playoffs, but it was more celebratory, if I remember, because I think it was it was disappointing. Like they didn't continue on, as I know we're talking about the Bruins here, but just to connect the Red Sox into this, it was more celebratory because we were on the road, we were in Houston. They just lost the series in 6 games, and now everybody is back at the team hotel, and it's just like, you're looking at each other like, wow, man, you're starting to immediately almost take inventory of what was just accomplished. Like, that was pretty impressive
Mhm.
what you guys did. And everybody's now just like almost into that second phase of it's over, but also like, let's enjoy it and celebrate kind of what was accomplished. So, as you guys said, like we're not playing, we don't log ice time, we don't we're not making defensive plays, but we're essentially on the same schedule. We're a part of it. We do the exact same thing, just in different lanes. So like the time investment is similar, and then when it's over, that's the connection I think that everybody can appreciate because they respect you for the hard work that you do. You respect them for how they go about their business, and then like at the end, it's like, well, that's it. So it was very much celebratory. I remember Hein Bloom afterward in a conversation, and kind of just playing in his mind about, all the things that went wrong and like if this could have went right, and kind of letting his hair down a little bit and just like talking pretty freely. So that's always interesting because when it's over, like people finally can just breathe because it's a lot of tension, it's a lot of anxiety built up when you're fighting for this thing that everybody wants to go for. So um, the season outlook, I think it's similar because it's professional semi athletes, guys who are driven and they have this exceptional talent, and everybody's special in their way, which is what got them to this level of their sports. So it's always interesting to be with them when it's over because fans are
Yeah.
watching on TV, they see the post game interviews, but like after all that is done and the cameras are off and the lights shut off and the doors are closed, that's kind of a special place to be because you really get to see and experience some of the greatness that goes into it. So I think that part is very interesting.